Okay, it's time to review a new release film. I just went to see Assassin's Creed a couple of weeks ago, the first film I saw in the cinema of 2017, and I want to talk a little bit about it. I was looking forward to this film when it was announced a couple of years ago, and it felt like it was in developmental hell for a while, and it wasn't going to get made, and then Michael Fassbender was cast in the lead, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because, at this point, Michael Fassbender, he really can kind of pick some of the roles that he wants to do, and doesn't really have to do a film for the money, I don't feel. He's doing these great kind of the big kind of blockbusters like X-Men and the Prometheus franchise now, but also he can do these smaller films where he can give these great performances and get all of this acclaim. He's a fantastic actor, and I was really interested by his decision to do this film, and that alone to me was one of the key reasons that I felt like going out to see it. So we went to see it a couple of weeks ago. Kanye enjoyed it a bit more than I did, but yeah, it's an interesting film to review, and I never claimed to be a great reviewer, but I didn't really get on with it too well. Assassin's Creed is about this guy who has had a bad kind of childhood. There's an incident that happened with his parents, and so we flash forward to present day, and Michael Fassbender is playing this character who, and I've forgotten his name already, which says a lot, but I mean, he plays this character who is in trouble. He's in jail at that present time, and he gets pulled out of jail by this mysterious group led by Marion Cotillard's character and her father in the film, played by Jeremy Irons. And they have this facility in Spain where they're kind of doing these tests on people, and they start to do these tests on Michael Fassbender's character where they can plug into his brain and make him relive the memories of his ancestors. And so we have all these flashbacks which go back to like hundreds of years ago in Spain, and all this stuff going on with the Assassin's Creed and this other group who are kind of opposing them. And we have this kind of this battle going on to obtain the Apple of Eden, which is going to be the key to stopping violence. It's going to basically control people, and it's this very powerful object that's sacred and kind of mythical, but they're trying to find out where it is so that they can kind of control all these societies and things like that. So there's big stakes at play in the story. But what I just couldn't get into was the scenes where Michael Fassbender is in this room with this machine that kind of picks him up, and he's reliving all these memories, and you cut in between the memories, and obviously his ancestor looks just like Michael Fassbender, so he plays both roles. But I don't know, there was something about the action that was going on in the past, and then we cut to present day and he's in the machine and he's like that, and it felt a bit like The Matrix to me, which is fine. Obviously it's very different. It's a completely different way of kind of going into this vision, but I just couldn't really connect with the action that was going on in the past because he hasn't got any control over it. It's not like he is controlling the past, or he's going to change history or anything like that. He's literally just this vessel, this avatar to kind of relive these memories, and that's it. So it felt like there was no real tension there for me. I mean, the action scenes were great. They put a lot of effort into doing a lot of practical stunts in the film. Apparently one of the falls that his character does in the film is like the largest free fall done in a movie for real in like a very long time. Harkens back to kind of the heyday of action movies, I think. But I felt like I couldn't connect with the action going on in the past because there was no way to change it, and you literally say, oh, I guess we're watching stories with films anyway, but it just didn't feel present enough for me to get involved in the action, if that makes sense. Now, I thought Michael Fassbender was great. He gave a very good performance in this. I thought Marion Cotillard was great. I feel like she's a lot better in French movies where she can speak her own language. When she's speaking English, she still is a great actress, but I feel like they're kind of there are gaps there. There's kind of, you can see the seams almost of the performance. Like in The Dark Knight Rises, she's, I think, very good in that, but her death scene is terrible, so it's kind of up and down. But in French movies, she's flawless, But here she was very, very good. And also Jeremy Irons, who I think I'm finally getting over my kind of uneasiness with Jeremy Irons, because ever since I was a teenager and I saw him in the remake of Lolita, I've always just been so creeped out by the guy, and I know that's the character, but I think now I'm finally starting to get over that, and he was very good in the film too. Solid cast, very good performances. And again, the action was great, and the visuals and stuff, but the story really didn't do much for me. And so by the time we got to the end of the film, I was like, oh, that's it then, is it? Like, you know, I just didn't, I wasn't engaged with the story. I don't know what it was, and I can't really assess that properly. But for me, it was an enjoyable film, you know, but it seems to continue the trend, as far as I'm concerned, of video game adaptations not being all that much when it comes to the big screen. I can't think off the top of my head of a video game adaptation movie that has been a great movie, you know, like a real great film. I mean, it just feels like some of those stories are best told in video games, especially these days, where they can do these long form stories where you're playing a lot of the action and you're getting all these cutscenes and a lot more information and story than a 2-hour film can hold. And to me, it felt like a 90-minute movie. I think it was about 2 hours long. It just, there was something off about it, you know. I can't put my finger on it. It wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. In fact, it was very good for what it was. It just the story, which is always going to be vital, I think, to most films that you enjoy. It just didn't really grab me that much. So yeah, I wouldn't like not recommend it, but I wouldn't say rush out and see it either. I don't know whether it came out earlier in America or anything like that. I mean, it could have, but I think it just came out in January here. I certainly enjoyed it. I didn't regret going to see it. You know, again, the performances hold up and everything, but the story just didn't really seem to dig its nails in or anything. So there we go. That's my thoughts on Assassin's Creed. If you've seen the film, leave me your thoughts down below, and I'll see you in the next video.
It's alright by me. Apart from the fact he throws cans of Carlin into a tree. Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, 'cause